Hello my friends, welcome back to another tutorial. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yes, I've been so busy, family life and all that kind of thing. I do apologise for not being on a lot sooner, but here we are. I have a lovely little tutorial for you today. It's a little snow scene and we want to help out Gary. Gary is having a little bit of trouble with the sky in this tutorial. I'm going to show you what we'll paint today. Something nice and refreshing, something simple. Nice little snow scene. And he wants to try this, but he's a little unsure about the sky. Now, I'm thinking this is a watercolour or perhaps a gouache, because you'll notice how all the colours in the sky just sort of merge together slightly like a watercolour. So I'm thinking it's maybe a watercolour. But it will look different with oils, bear that in mind. If you want to paint something in oils which is done already in watercolour, it's going to look slightly different because you have the texture of the paint, the thickness of the paint. So let's try it and see if we can help out Gary. He's having a little bit of trouble trying to get the colours and all that kind of together and nice. It'll be a nice tutorial, nice little snow scene, nice and loose, simple, just a couple of brushes, 2 or 3 brushes, a few colours, and that's all we need. So let's have a bit of fun with this. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Give a thumbs up, a like, and leave a comment if you wish as well. All criticism is welcome. All right, don't be shy. Let's go. Let's have a bit of fun with this. I'm looking forward to painting this one. I'll be right back. All right, everyone, here we go. Let's have a bit of fun with this. I'll tell you what colours I have in my palette. Titanium white, Naples yellow, magenta, phthalo blue, burnt umber and black. A nice few colours. There's the reference photograph. A nice simple snow scene, but let's make a nice sky out of this. It's not going to look the same, but we're trying to get it look somewhere similar. Now, I have a 16 by 12 canvas. I coated down to around here, the horizon line. Do you know what? Let's put a pencil line along where our horizon line is going to be. Thereabouts. I gave this a quick coat of linseed oil, just with some tissue, a small bit of tissue, and a quick rub of some linseed oil. That just wets the canvas for me, just enough. So I have some thinners down here, which is turpentine and a little drop of linseed oil in there as well. Let's take a big brush. Now, colour-wise, colours. I'm going to start with a nice soft blue. I think a nice soft blue first. Phthalo blue, some white. Now, we don't need to thin this too much because our canvas is already oily, okay? My brush was only just slightly damp. And I'm going to take a tiny touch of magenta in that as well. Just a tiniest little touch. A simple, nice blue kind of colour with some pinks going through it. A nice simple sky for a snow scene. Let's just see. Let's see what we can do. It is going to look different. But that's the fun of painting with oils, isn't it? You know, even when you're painting a reference from a photograph, it's never going to look exactly the same, let's be honest. Now, let's just I'm popping some blue in here and there where I see most of the blue, the rich blue. You know, it's not too much. Let's now start adding some magenta into that mix. So, we have a nice warm magenta going on. Pop some magenta in here and there. Take a bit of white, more magenta. And then I'm going to take a touch of Naples yellow, because as that comes down, it's a lovely rich colour down here, isn't it? Every kind of a warm, pinky colour going on down here. So let's put that nice warm pinky colour in there as well. Bring that right down to the horizon line. And let's just go now and pop that nice pinky shade here and there in that white, in those white spots. The trick with this is making it look like a nice sky. That's a tricky sky to copy, because being that it's watercolours or gouache, I'm going to say watercolours, being that it's watercolours, you can see the colours just sort of float into each other and they merge into each other. It's completely different when you're painting with oils, okay? It's completely different. Right, we have the basis of our background in, I think. I'm now going to start putting in some slightly darker shades to create some clouds. Let's get some phthalo blue, some magenta, and a tiny touch of, let's try burnt umber. tiny touch of burnt umber. We get some dark clouds, a bit richer I think, a bit more maybe on the blue side. I just want to kind of create a little bit of shadow here and there in the clouds. And of course then we will have to put in some highlights, won't we? Let's come down here and pop one or two here. It's very sort of random, isn't it? There's a couple of nice dark ones going across the bottom like that. Again, I'm just keeping this so simple now. Very loose brushwork. You know, I'm not thinking a little bit of black in there. I'm not thinking too much about it, to be quite honest. I just want to get a nice texture of sky. That's not bad now, is it? So you can see already how that's completely different to the reference photograph. We're making this our own. Let's put a little bit of dark down along the bottom there. Now, the next job is to soften all of this together. Let's take a soft blender brush. I get a lot of questions, my friends, about my blender brushes. It's quite simply a foundation, a powder brush. Look, I'm going to see if I can zoom in here for you. Can you see that? It's simply a powder brush. Now I'm just going to fix the focus on this so it stays. A powder brush, a normal makeup powder brush, okay? Best thing in the world for softening oil paints. Let's start softening all of this together. Let's create a nice soft sky, but you can see I'm not softening it too much. I'm leaving the brush strokes there, here and there, you know what I mean? Just to create a bit of character in the sky, a bit of movement. You need to have some movement in your sky, don't you? But it's up to you. You can blend this out as far as you want. You can leave the brush strokes in it. Sometimes I like to leave brush strokes on my painting. It's just a nice feeling. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to soften this little piece here just a bit. We could pop a little bit of white in there for some clouds, or we could sprinkle some white on there for some snow. It's completely up to ourselves. I'm wondering, should I pop the tiniest bit of light colour just to give some highlights in the sky? Now this is risky, okay? We could end up ruining what we have. We may not. It's a tricky one to know. I'm going to just kind of start maybe putting in a few highlights here and there, just to create some bright spots for clouds. Again, I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to go too far with all of this, but maybe just even that might even be enough. Okay, let's soften that back out again. Soften them slightly back into the cloud. I don't like copying reference photographs too much. Sometimes they can be quite close. Other times I like to just add my own touch to them. Now I think that's all right. I'm going to leave it at that. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to pop some snow on these. I'm going to take a fan brush. Let me see if I can get a big, nice size fan brush here. Okay, I'm going to wet my fan brush, very wet, and get some nice thin titanium white. Lots of thinners in this, like a watercolour almost, or very soft acrylic. And I'm just going to soak that brush, get it nice and wet. Okay, another little bit. Now, let's just simply sprinkle some snow, flick some snow onto our sky. Now, you probably can't see that. If there's a kind of a thicker bristle brush that you can use, that's even better to get lots of thick snow. The problem with these bristle brushes is you only get tiny spots. It's very difficult to get large spots. So we might have to just go with a very small pointy brush and just pop a few ourselves as well. Now I just need to clean this pointy brush, just make sure it's nice and clean and soft. We could take some white like this, okay? And we could just pop thicker ones in just here and there as well. You know, just to give it a bit more impact so you can see them from afar. Not too much, just one or two. There. No, I think that's absolutely fine. We don't need to do any more. Don't go in too much detail in your painting. Let's go down and paint all of this surface down here. I'm looking at a kind of a greeny blue, so to speak. Phaylo blue, some white, a lot of white now. This is very bright, isn't it? And a touch of Naples yellow. Now, you can kind of mess around with this colour, maybe a touch of magenta. Because this for me now is really just acting as the shade colour of the snow, if you understand what I mean. This is going to be the shaded side of the colour, a bit more blue. I'm sort of, you see how I'm messing around with my blues, sort of a greenish blue. And it's quite thin, look, a very thin layer. Pop that on. Now don't have this, you don't want this too green because you don't want to distract from the sky. You want the same colours coming through. So I'm going to take a little bit of a pinkier blue as well. I'm also going to pop a little bit of that through the snow, because one very important thing with painting snow scenes is whatever colour your sky is, that has to be reflected in the snow, because snow is not just white. Snow reflects the colour of the sky. You know, you'd be easily forgiven for thinking that snow is just white all the time, but no, it's not. If you take a photograph and you look through the photograph, you'll see it's similar colour to the sky. Now, we won't worry about darks or anything like that, not for a while. Let's just put a bit of dark here where those trees are, dab it in, a little bit here. You can see I'm just being very sort of loose with all of this, putting in a bit of texture here and there. Right, let's stop at that. I'm going to take a smaller brush and put in my line of trees off in the distance, okay? A nice, simple, small, medium flat brush. Dampen it very, very slightly. Take a bit of... Now, there's lots of different ways you can mix this colour. You could try black with Phaylo blue and a little touch of Naples yellow, okay? That's one shade we could try. So, let's try this shade and see. Okay, that's not bad. Then, no, it's a bit greeny. Then we could also try burnt umber and Phaylo blue. That gives you a similar but darker shade of that colour. Now, it's completely up to yourself which shade you would like. I'm going to take a little touch more blue into this. So maybe even just a touch of magenta. Maybe a very deep purple with a hint of a greeny shade in there as well. Perhaps just that shade is enough. Let's put one or two higher ones in. You know, vary your trees, your heights. I see a lot of people that will do the very same all the way along like this. It just does not look natural. Try and vary them, my friends, okay? Up a bit, go down a bit. Just have some fun. Try and leave your brush. Do it naturally from your hand, okay? Now let's get a bit darker and start putting in some darker shades. Phaylo blue, lamp black. And particularly towards the bottom, they will have a much darker shade towards the bottom of the trees where they go down into the land. And then let's just soften that darker shade up and down here and there. So you want to soften the shade up into your trees. Now you could go up and you could give some darker trees here and there. But you can see what I mean. It gets darker towards the bottom, doesn't it? Finally, I am going to go very dark with some burnt umber and some black. Just to add a little bit of warmth. And maybe not everywhere, just a touch here and there, look. Soften it in. So we get some nice deep colour just towards the bottom of our trees. Now that's absolutely fine. You can, if you like, put snow on these trees. I'm just going to clean my brush here. If you wanted, you could take a little bit of blue and some white. And you could absolutely dab a little bit of snow on these trees, just to give them a little bit of extra punch. And, you know, just to show that it is snow on the trees. You see, does that just, it kind of lifts it slightly, doesn't it? I'm going to go across underneath this with some light bluey colour, just to sit those down, look. So we go across, we just sit those down. Again, it's not a perfectly straight line, a little bit of a wiggle here and there. Then we can take some brighter white, pop some brighter white through. For some highlights. Okay, now I'm just going to soften them off in the distance. It's a very soft colour. There's not very many brush strokes back there. And I can see, by looking at that, they're probably a bit greeny, aren't they? Do you think they're a little bit too green? So let's just take a little bit of blue with a hint of that green. You know, we can change this as we go, if we need to. And make a little bit more blue through that colour. More of a light blue. So it just goes to show you, you can change these if you really need to, okay? Absolutely. Let me just get some white on my palette and we'll continue on down. I will put extra snow sprinkle with my brush on this when it's finished. Let's concentrate on these trees here, these very big, rich kind of trees. I'm going to stick with my flat brush for this, just for now. I'm going to make a very dark greeny colour. Some black, phthalo blue. You'll even get away with that. Maybe a touch of Naples yellow. Again, that Naples yellow just gives you that little bit of a greeny hue to your colour. And let's start by putting the centres of the trees up first, like this, okay? So I generally start with the centres, maybe a bit of burnt umber in there, and then once I have the centres done, I just go like this, look, at each side. Now the problem with a lot of this is that colour will soften back into your sky, if you know what I mean, because it's mixing with that lighter colour in the background. It's mixing in with that colour. So it's going to be difficult to get this to stick. So you must just keep at it, okay? Just keep at it. Keep loading your brush with dark colour. I'm literally using just black and phthalo blue now at this stage. If you're having difficulty getting it to stick, you could try a palette knife, for instance. Absolutely, a palette knife would make a lovely tree as well. But it's just a big clump of tree just over here. And down at the bottom, they simply kind of merge together, don't they? But I will be putting a little bit of snow on these as well. So all I'm really doing right now is filling in the big bulk of colour. You see, I'm just filling it in. And we'll have some snow on these as well, so not to worry. So we can begin to see them taking shape now, can't we? Let's put maybe just a nice small one in here somewhere like this. Maybe make it a bit of a point with the tip of our brush. I like using these flat brushes because they do give you that lovely point when you need it. Now more black, more blue, touch of burnt umber. I'm going to make this one a little bit more refined, so to speak. So I'm using the very tip of my flat brush to kind of just come out like this, look. That gives it a more refined shape then, doesn't it? So you can kind of mess around with different brushes. I find generally with snow scenes, I like to just pick up different types of brushes and see what kind of effects I can get. Now, burnt umber black, phthalo blue again. We'll just go up and pop in a suggestion of the tree trunk in this one. Okay, I mean, we're not too bad. Let's go a little bit higher with some of these and give them a little bit more detail just on top, perhaps. Like so. And then we must stick some snow on these. Now, we could simply use the same brush, or we could try a fan brush. Let's just grab some white on the corner of our fan brush, maybe a touch of blue. Make it a nice light bluey kind of a snow, yes? Because this is a very dark colour, this light blue will stand out a lot. Let's just try it and see. Just go up, dab a bit of that light colour on the edges of some of these branches. Now you only want a suggestion. I'm only making a suggestion, okay? I'm not going absolutely crazy with all of this. Okay, just a little suggestion. That's all I want to do. Then I'm going to take again some of that light blue and I'm going to sit them down just underneath. Sit them on the snow. And I'm even going to sort of soften the snow into them here and there. That just gives a nice softer edge, doesn't it? A little bit of blue into that dark tree colour. Put a little bit of shadow underneath these. And just with your fan brush, look, just swish it around. Give them a little bit of shadow just behind these trees. I'll do the same over here while I have it on my brush. Just pop it in a little bit. That just kind of drags the trees down and sits them in the ground, I find, doesn't it? Now let's take a small pointy brush. Get some of that lighter blue colour. Let's just pop a suggestion of 1 or 2 tree trunks, just the highlights popping through. Just here and there, look. Again, it's just that little touch of detail, I find. It's just a little touch. Now, we have some nice trees on this side, but we have some of those sort of dark, grassy type things first. So let's take some black and some burnt umber and a little touch of the phthalo blue as well. Again, keeping the composition similar throughout. Same shades, same colours. Okay, that's very important. And we can put just 1 or 2 sort of grasses popping up inside the snow here and there. And look, that just gives you that little bit of texture, doesn't it? It really does. Just the smallest little bit of texture makes all the difference in painting. Now, while I have my small brush near me, I'm going to take some of this darker colour, right? And I'm going to just create a little bit of a footpath around. Just like that, okay? Just a touch. Then I'm going to take some white and just pop some white in there as well. And then with my fan brush, I'm going to just sort of rough up the edges of that. Again, remember, I'm only trying to create a little suggestion of the scene, okay? Just for you, just to help, and especially for you, Gary, as well, just to help you decipher different elements and how to simplify it. Look, just going along with my brush and just roughing it up. But we can still see the impression of the footpath, can't we? Bit of white. Pop a little bit of white in there, just to lighten that ever so slightly. Then we can take a little bit of white and we can just suggest a bit of texture on the snow here and there as well. You see? I'm just very randomly swishing my brush around, creating a texturous scene. A very rough landscape, lots of texture, lots of snow, very rough ground, so to speak. Isn't that what we're looking for? Now that's absolutely fine, I think. I don't think we need to continue on. Let's just keep it simple, a nice impression. Let's get some of these nice big trees in up here on the left hand side. I get burnt umber black and again a little bit of phthalo blue. Lots of turpentine. Make this very, very wet now, okay? Let's just go and go for it. Let's just grab the brushes and go. Don't be shy. And we've another nice one coming up at an angle and they kind of meet up above. And after that, really, it's just a case of popping in lots of little branches and twigs and all of that, okay? Now, I will just do a kind of a quick impression on this. Again, you can take your time at home, all right? Take your time. Don't rush it like me, but this is just the process of painting lots of branches. Just lots of little flicks with your small brush coming out from each individual branch. Okay, just put lots and lots of little flicks. Some of them now are a little bit thicker, but this is again just a tutorial for you, just to see. And just be very loose with all of them. Very, very loose. Let's thicken that one up a little bit there. Thicken this one up. The most important part with all of this is just having some fun, all right? Don't be afraid to keep it light and have some fun. That's very important with your painting. Okay, lots of little flicks, look. Now you could, if you wanted to, as well, just put some snow on these trees. It's completely up to yourself. You know, it's a hit and miss. You could suggest a little bit of, tiny bit of white here and there on the tree itself, just to make a suggestion to the viewer that there is snow on the tree. The next thing I'm going to do is take my fan brush with lots of turpentine again, and let's just pop a little bit of snow down here, because it's going to look strange having snow just on the sky, isn't it? So let's, for the sake of argument, let's just pop a little bit of snow down on the bottom half of the painting as well. Just a few tiny flicks here and there. Again, that just reiterates the fact that it's snowing. It's a snowy day. Now I think there's one little piece of the puzzle that I need to do here, and that is just simply to pop a little person walking in the scene. Now it's up to you how far you want to take. You could add a lot of stuff into this scene if you wanted to. It's completely up to you. But I just want to put someone walking. I find it just gives the painting a bit of life, doesn't it? And let's just put a little bit of a shadow around here and there. Just a small shadow. Again, just to kind of bring him down to ground. Now my friends, that for me, I think is absolutely fine. I don't feel I need to keep going. This was just a nice, simple, quick tutorial just to help you out and to help out Gary with colours. Let's put a little bit of this white just hitting the grass here and there. Look, just to break up that corner. Maybe just a little bit down here and there. You could take a bit of dark, we could just strengthen the roadway or the footpath, just strengthen that colour just a little bit, soften it in. You know, it's all about softening colours in, just to give a little impression. You see what I mean? That's all it is, a simple impression. I don't feel the need to keep going with this. I think I've achieved what I wanted to achieve from that reference photograph. Again, you can keep working on trees and putting loads of branches and stuff in like that, but that's my take on this scene. You could possibly even add a hint, let's say, of a pinky shade into the snow as well. That would tie those pinks into the painting. You see what I mean? Just a tiny scrape of that pinky shade. It just brings the colours down. And my friends, there we are. That tutorial took me 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Let me just fix the exposure on this. Is very, the colours are completely wrong on the camera today, whatever's going on. There we are. And that's a lovely little scene. A lovely little snow scene. I'm quite happy with that. I'm very, very happy with that. Gary, I hope I've helped you out with your difficulty with this scene. But there we go. Just try and simplify it. Don't overthink your colours. Don't overthink your little details. Just try and paint nice and loosely and have a bit of fun along the way. And that's the best way to learn, I find, because sometimes even if I'm sitting in front of a painting for too long trying to get little details just right, I get frustrated and it ends up looking worse in the long run. For me, that's just my opinion, that's the way I paint. I prefer having a nice loose finish and loose brushwork in my painting. It just looks more natural and it looks like the artist has had some fun with the painting. So just keep it loose and light and just don't use too many different types of brushes, okay? 2 or 3 brushes is all you need for most paintings. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching me, and again, subscribe to the channel. We're growing nicely, thanks to you. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you again very, very soon. God bless and take care.